Are there hidden costs in managed IT contracts? Now, the honest answer is yes, but usually it's not because they're trying to catch you out. Most hidden costs come from assumptions. Businesses assume that certain things are included. IT providers assume that the contract explains it all clearly enough. So when those expectations don't align, that's when frustration starts. So before we go any further, this is the real question that we're going to be answering throughout this video. Where do these assumptions come from and how can you avoid them? So one of the most common questions that we get asked is, why am I being charged extra when I already pay for IT support? Maybe an engineer has visited site, maybe there's been a cybersecurity issue, or maybe some work felt routine to the business but wasn't classed as standard support. The reality is that most managed IT contracts just deal with the day-to-day support. Things like on-site work, project work, or cyber incident response are often outside that agreement. The problem is that this boundary isn't always explained clearly enough when the contracts are being signed. If you don't know where support ends and chargeable work begins, again, you're relying on assumptions. And assumptions are expensive. So ask yourself this: do you know what your IT contract covers? Why is this managed service provider so much cheaper than the others, I hear you ask? Most of the time, the answer comes down to what's actually included. Cheaper IT contracts are usually reactive. Something breaks, you log a ticket, it gets fixed. What's often missing is super important, and that's proactive work. Monitoring, patching, system checks, and preventative maintenance. Those things cost money. So when they're removed, the monthly fee can often look very, very appealing. The issue is that modern IT environments don't behave well when they're left unattended. Kinda like a naughty school child, they're fine for a while. Then problems build quietly and then surface all at once. And they usually surface at the worst possible time. But saying all that, a lower cost contract isn't always a bad decision. Some providers can offer the same level of support for less through efficiencies and just being a better fit. What really matters is understanding what's changed and what impact could that have further down the line. So the question becomes, are you really saving money or are you just delaying the cost? Another question we hear quite a lot is, do we actually have cybersecurity or do we just think we do? There's one area that assumptions cause real financial damage, and that's whether or not that you've got cybersecurity. Many businesses assume that if they have IT support, then cybersecurity must be included. In reality, cybersecurity can mean anything from basic antivirus to full managed threat detection, monitoring, and response. And the cost usually doesn't show up until something's gone wrong. Investigation, remediation, and recovery work are rarely included in standard IT support. Backups are also another major blind spot, because having a backup is not the same as having backups that are monitored, tested, and actually recoverable when you need them. So the better question isn't, do we have cybersecurity? It's more about what your cybersecurity includes. Now let's move into unlimited IT support and what it actually means. Of course, it sounds reassuring because unlimited sounds like everything. But in reality, it usually means unlimited remote support for everyday problems. What it often doesn't include are things like projects, training, upgrades, or on-site visits. And that's where the confusion creeps in. On-site work is quite often the most surprising charge in an IT contract. Most agreements treat it separately. So next time, before you assume that unlimited means everything, just ask yourself this one question: what does unlimited not include? And finally, where do hidden IT costs really come from? Most of the time, they're not hidden in the small print, they're hidden in assumptions. When you understand what's included, what's not included, and also what changes the cost of the contract, you stay in control. And good managed IT should feel exactly like that. No surprises, no panic, and no awkward invoices. So the final question is, do you have clarity or are you still relying on assumptions? Make sure you ask your MSP to clarify any gaps in your contract before they turn into costly problems.